Hoke, the rain poured mercilessly against the windshield as Emily Davenport, heir to a billion-dollar fashion empire, sat alone in her luxury car on a deserted country road. Her designer heels were splattered with mud, mascara streaked from tears, and her phone flashed no service. A blind date, meant to reignite her cold, loveless life, had turned into a humiliating disaster. She gripped the steering wheel tightly, whispering through clenched teeth, "I should have never left the city." But just as she slammed her hand against the horn in frustration, a pair of headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. A rusty old pickup truck stopped beside her. Out stepped Daniel Carter, a rugged single dad from the small town of Willow Creek, holding an umbrella and wearing a flannel jacket soaked by the storm. He tapped gently on her window and said with a warm, steady voice that would change both their lives forever, "Mom, looks like you could use a little help." That night, two completely different worlds collided, and neither would ever be the same again. Emily Davenport wasn't used to being ignored. From the day she was born, the world had bowed at her family name. Her father's empire, Davenport Design Group, dominated luxury fashion. Emily lived in glass towers, attended private galas, and dated only men who appeared on Forbes covers. But lately, her life felt hollow, like an expensive perfume with no scent left. Her latest boyfriend had cheated on her with her own assistant, and tabloids were having a feast. When her best friend convinced her to try a blind date, to move on, Emily reluctantly agreed. "It'll be good for your heart," her friend had said. "Someone who doesn't care about your money." But the evening went from awkward to humiliating. The man she was set up with, a wealthy real estate agent, spent most of dinner bragging about his car collection and asked if her family money could help fund his next venture. She left mid-meal, disgusted. Driving out of the city, she got lost in a storm. Her GPS glitched, her phone died, and her car sputtered to a stop on a dark country road. Frustration gave way to panic. The rain beat down harder, thunder roaring in the distance. That's when the old pickup appeared behind her, its headlights slicing through the rain like hope itself. Daniel Carter stepped out, holding an umbrella like a knight holding a shield. He was tall, rugged, and clearly not from her world. His jeans were faded, his boots worn, but his eyes, soft brown and sincere, made her heart beat slow from panic to something she couldn't name. "Car trouble?" he asked. She nodded nervously. I think the battery died." He smiled. "Lucky for you, I'm better with engines than small talk." He worked quietly, his hands steady despite the cold. When lightning struck nearby, Emily flinched. Without looking up, Daniel said gently, "Don't worry. Storms look scary, but they always pass." Something about that line lodged deep in her heart. Once her car was running again, she offered him money. He refused. "Just doing what any neighbor would," he said. "But you don't even know me," Emily replied. Daniel smiled. "Well, now I do. You're the lady who looks like she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders." Emily didn't know how to respond. Nobody had ever seen her like that before. The next morning, she drove into the nearby town of Willow Creek to thank him properly. She found him at a small diner, laughing with a little girl, his daughter Lily. The way he wiped pancake syrup off her chin made Emily's heart melt. "Morning," Daniel greeted her. "Guess your car survived the night?" Emily smiled awkwardly. "Barely. Thought I'd buy you coffee as thanks." Lily grinned. "Daddy says coffee makes him grumpy." Daniel chuckled. Out of the mouths of babes, over coffee they talked. Emily learned Daniel was a mechanic and a widower. His wife had died 3 years ago in a car accident, leaving him to raise Lily alone. He'd once dreamed of traveling, but life had other plans. Emily found herself captivated, not by his story, but by his humility. He wasn't chasing wealth or fame. He just wanted peace, honesty, and love for his daughter. As days passed, Emily started visiting Willow Creek more often. Sometimes under the excuse of needing car maintenance, sometimes just for coffee. She watched how everyone in town respected Daniel, how he helped without expecting anything in return. But soon, whispers began. The rich city woman and the small town mechanic. People noticed, and when her father found out, everything exploded. "Emily," her father thundered during a board meeting, "you will not throw away our name for some grease-covered country man." "It's my life, Dad," she shouted back, tears burning her eyes. "Then you're no daughter of mine," he said coldly. Emily left the city that night with nothing but her car, a suitcase, and a heart full of pain. When Daniel found out, he didn't pity her. He just opened his door and said, "You can stay here as long as you need. We'll figure it out." And for the first time in her life, Emily felt what home really meant. Weeks passed. Emily adjusted to small-town life, helping Daniel around the workshop, learning how to cook, and reading bedtime stories to Lily. Her designer shoes gathered dust while her hands learned to work with grease and tools. She felt alive, something she hadn't felt in years. But beneath the warmth, shadows lingered. Her father's company was crumbling without her leadership, and tabloids were running headlines like, "Fallen Heiress abandons fortune for mechanic." Emily was torn between the life she wanted and the legacy she'd left behind. One night, Daniel found her sitting by the porch, tears streaming down her face. "You miss it, don't you?" he asked softly. "I miss who I was supposed to be," she whispered. "Not who I became." Daniel knelt beside her. "You're not defined by your last name, Emily. You're defined by what's in here." He touched his chest gently. "And I see more strength in you than you ever did in those mirrors." The next morning, Emily received a call. Her father had suffered a heart attack. Without hesitation, Daniel drove her to the city, staying by her side the whole time. When her father saw Daniel, he turned away at first. But as Daniel quietly adjusted his oxygen line and said, "Sir, she's been worried sick," something softened in the old man's eyes. A week later, Emily's father pulled her aside. "You've changed," he said. "That man, he's taught you what no money ever could." Emily smiled through tears. "He taught me how to live." When her father recovered, he did something unexpected. He offered Daniel a contract to help design engines for a new sustainable vehicle line Davenport Motors was launching. Daniel accepted, not for the money, but for Emily. Months later, under a blooming cherry tree in Willow Creek, Daniel proposed with a simple silver ring. Lily jumped in excitement, shouting, "Does that mean she's going to be my mom now?" Emily laughed, tears in her eyes. "Yes, sweetheart, it does." They married in a small church surrounded by friends, townsfolk, and even Emily's father, who walked her down the aisle. There were no designer gowns, no flashing cameras, just love, pure and simple. As the sun set behind the hills, Daniel whispered, "Funny how a blind date gone wrong brought me everything right." Emily smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "Sometimes, the wrong road leads you home." Narrator's voice. Sometimes love doesn't come wrapped in perfection. It comes in the form of a muddy road, a broken-down car, and a stranger who offers you an umbrella. Because when two hearts meet in the storm, they don't just survive it, they find shelter in each other. Don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one, because love can find you in the most unexpected places.